Namaskar, dear seekers. Today let us lovingly gather under the shelter of God's grace to reflect on a most vital teaching, the purity of our intentions. In this sacred journey of devotion, it is not the outer form of action, but the inner light of sincerity that brings us closer to the divine. Let us open our hearts to this wisdom as we listen to Shri Maharaj's words with humility and love. Of the three gunas, tamas is the most akin to inert matter, and therefore its effects are most easily, widely, and quickly perceptible. Tamas directly vitiates thought and desires. Man, however, has the capability of purifying the mind by profusely repeating nama, for this leads to the development of sattva guna, which gradually purifies the mind. That God can be attained by mere disciplinary practices and mortification of the body and the mind is a mistaken notion. Were it correct, workers toiling in the scorching sun to break stone into road metal would have been among the first to attain God. We should remember, God concerns himself with a man's disposition and the state and tendencies of his mind and heart, rather than with mere physical acts like mortification. One may create in people's eyes an image or impression of great devoutness by mortification exercises like, say, fasting, and yet secretly entertain a mundane objective. God, who resides in all hearts, cannot be so deceived. We should therefore aim at practicing what we preach or say. In the path of spirituality, nothing is more harmful than hypocrisy. You know, to get lost in contemplation of God and thus forget to take food is far better than intentional fasting. We should get so engrossed in spiritual meditation that we acquire constant, unbroken awareness of God's presence. It matters not in this state of mind whether the body does or does not take food. On the other hand, mere fasting without such awareness of His presence will only lead to weakness of the body. It is the motive behind any act that determines the intrinsic value of the act. God will readily condone an unorthodox action if the motive prompting it is pure. You know, on the other hand, an apparently good action with an ulterior motive may actually keep God away. But an action that's free from expectation of any kind will be highly appreciated by Him. We should really strive to win God purely for His own sake. Indeed, if He were to present Himself before us and offer to grant our desire, we should only ask for His name. This truly is desirelessness. A manifestation of God may disappear some time or other, but His name abides forever. As long as His name is with us, it is incumbent on Him to come to us. In the ancient times, there lived the illustrious Sage Patanjali, the father of yoga and Sanskrit grammar. His heart overflowed with compassion for mankind, and he desired to offer the wisdom that could cleanse the mind and liberate the soul. When Sage Patanjali set out to teach his profound Mahabhashya, the sacred commentary on grammar, he laid down one sacred condition: none of my students must harbor any selfish curiosity or impure motive. The knowledge must be received with pure devotion alone. The disciples agreed and gathered in a closed cave for the teachings. However, as time passed, a few students, driven by pride and desire for quick mastery, broke the discipline and secretly spied on the sage's methods. In that very instant, a great fire of divine energy engulfed the cave, consuming those whose hearts had been tainted by impure motives. When Patanjali emerged, he found only one disciple, humble, patient, and pure, waiting outside without a trace of selfish desire. You alone shall carry forward this sacred knowledge, for your heart was pure and free from ulterior motives. Thus, Patanjali demonstrated through this profound incident that it is not the external action, learning, practicing, or penance that matters most, but the inner purity behind the action. Without clean motives, even the highest pursuits can lead to downfall, but with pure intention, divine grace flows unstoppably. Shri Maharaj reminds us that mortification, fasting, or any outward discipline without sincerity is hollow. Similarly, in Sage Patanjali's story, the students who merely sought power or shortcuts through improper means faced destruction. Only the one who held a clean heart, without pride, without expectation, received the true blessing. In our spiritual journey too, it is the motive behind every action, pure love for God, selflessness and truthfulness, that brings us closer to Him. Let us deeply absorb this lesson and walk the path of sincerity and devotion. Dear seekers, today's Pravachan and the sacred incident from Sage Patanjali's life teach us an eternal truth. The Lord resides not in outer displays, but in the secret corners of our hearts. When our motives are pure, even the smallest act becomes divine. Let us cultivate clean intentions, chant the Lord's name sincerely, and offer every breath at His sacred feet.